In 16.3, we're going to continue talking about depreciation. We looked at two other methods so far in the previous lessons, and now we're going on to depreciation method number 3, which is using a depreciation fraction. So what we're going to do in this one is, instead of using a percentage to calculate depreciation with time, we're going to use a fraction. And the way they do this is by first providing the amount of years. So for the first example, what we have here is they have an amount of 6 years that is for the time for depreciation. Now they calculate this by using a denominator as well. And the way we find the denominator is by going equals, and then we're going to click on the number of years, that's what n is being representative, times, parentheses, numbers plus 1, parentheses, divided by 2. And so our denominator for this is going to be 21. So whatever the amount of years is, this is the formula that you'd be using to calculate this denominator. Alright, so for our fractions then, this will be able to help us when it comes to what is the depreciation for a certain year. We'd be able to calculate that. So 6 over 21 for year 1, 5 over 21, 4 over 21, and you get the idea of how we get the rest of them here. Alright, so then from there, what we'd be doing is converting these into rates. And this is where we would simply take the amount of years divided by the denominator. And we do that all the way down. So 3 over 21, 2 over 21, and 1 over 21. So these would be the different rates you would use for the formula. Alright, so let's actually look at an example for this next one. For example 2, we have a product that is a trencher, which is used to build trenches and road systems and things like that. They give us amount of 8 years of life. So we need to calculate the denominator first to calculate this depreciation. So we're going to go equals 8 times, parentheses, 8 again, or number of years, plus 1, parentheses, divided by 2. So our denominator that we're using for this is 36. Now the cost on this piece of equipment is $8,940. The salvage value is $1,200. And what they're asking for is, what is the amount of depreciation for the first year and the second year? So the fraction we're going to use for the first one is going to be 8 over 36. So that's where we find the 8 here, the denominator here. We can calculate that rate fraction there. And then to calculate the depreciation, we're going to take the fraction times, parentheses, cost minus salvage value, parentheses, enter. So the depreciation for the first year on this piece of equipment is $1,720. So for the second year, we would still use $8,940, still use the same salvage value, but the fraction for this one, instead of doing 8 years, is going to be 7 years. So 7 divided by 36. And then the depreciation would end up being the fraction times cost minus salvage, parentheses, enter. So you can see there's a drop that is going on from year 1 to year 2. So we looked at the straight line method, we looked at double depreciation, and what the sum of the year digits method is kind of the in-between. It seems to be one of the more accurate ways to calculate depreciation. Alright, let's go to example 3. And in example 3, it's an electronic piece of equipment. It has a life of 4 years. So since we know the years, now we can calculate the denominator. We would take the number of years 4 times 4 plus 1 divided by 2. So the denominator we'll be using for this one is 10. Now the cost for this item is $9,000. And as the example says, there is no salvage value, so that's going to remain 0. And our fraction is going to be 4 out of 10, 4 over 10. And now we're ready to calculate the depreciation. So let's go equals fraction times parentheses cost minus salvage. Even though there is no salvage, we can do the same formula and we would get the same answer. So $3,600 is the depreciation for year 1. Now for year 2 for depreciation, again, no salvage value, we're going to go 3 over 10, and we would find the fraction to be 0.3. Depreciation for this one, we'll go fraction times parentheses cost minus salvage value, parentheses, enter. We'd get $2,700. So again, this is an accurate method to calculate depreciation from each year. Obviously, the first year is going to be a little bit more, but as the years continue, the depreciation will continue to fall a little bit. All right, for this last example, we're looking to build a depreciation schedule. So in this one here, they give us 5 for the amount of years of life. So let's calculate that denominator. We go equals number times number plus 1 divided by 2. So our denominator is going to be 15. And then the next thing we need to do is calculate what is the total amount of depreciation. We know that the book value is $21,500. We also know that the salvage value is $3,500. So if we were to subtract the two, we would know that the total depreciation would end up being $3,000. Or we would take that off and there would be $18,000 it's going to depreciate over 5 years. So we're not going to keep a formula on that one. It just did that so we can get a visual of how we got the $18,000. Now the $18,000 is going to be the same amount that we're going to use for the entire thing. And the fraction is going to be those numbers that we did when we found out in example 1, these different rates. So we would go 5 over 15. We would go 4 over 15. And actually these should not be percentages. So I'm going to change that out real quick here, put a blank cell in there. Calculate that down. Fix that real quick. And then from here, these will be correct. So we have 5 over 15. We have 4 over 15. 3 over 15. We have 2 over 15 and 1 over 15. All right, now we're ready to start calculating our different percentages. All right, so we can take the 18,000 times the fraction, and we get $6,000. And so let's work through this a little bit. So the book value is $21,500. The amount of depreciation for the first year is $6,000. Since it's brand new, there's nothing to accumulate yet, but the book value is going to be, at the end of the first year, the original brand new price minus the accumulated depreciation for year 1. That would end up being $15,500. Now let's calculate the next one. We're going to go the fraction for year 2 times total depreciation be $4,800. To accumulate, what we're doing there is adding year 1, $6,000, plus year 2, and we'd have $10,800. So the book value for the second year, we take book value minus accumulated depreciation, be $10,700. All right, year 3. Third year fraction times total depreciation, $3,600. Let's accumulate. This time let's use sum for a formula. Let's add up year 1, 2, and 3 together. We get $14,400. Book value minus accumulated depreciation for year 3, we'll be at $7,100. All right, let's go year 4. Rate times 18,000, 2,400. Let's accumulate those first 4 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. 16,800. So then the book value minus accumulation, 4,700. And the last one, year 5 rate times total depreciation, 1,200. And we can add up all 5 years together. And that should be correct, 18,000. It matches total depreciation here. And then the book value, we could take the brand new minus all 5 years accumulated, and we'd still get the salvage value of 3,500. So in this video, we talked and discussed about how to find the denominator for these fractions. We did an example with a salvage value, one without salvage value, and then we built a depreciation schedule. And this is lesson 16.3, Sum of the Year Digits Methods.